Hi everyone, my name is Adam Cohen. You're watching Adam Cohen Today. Today with me, I have Adelle Nazarian, American media personality, formerly of Breitbart News. Were you also at Fox as well for a
I
while?
was,
That's
yes.
the Fox and Breitbart News. Very good and very old friend of mine for many, many, many years. Thank you for joining us today, Adele. Welcome. Thank you for coming. And yeah, it's great to have you here on the show again today.
Adam, it's so great to be on with you. I mean, it's very rare that you have friends who have, you've taken with you into life for over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I think. It's almost 20 years we know each other. It's amazing. And you're an incredible person and very proud of you for what you've been able to accomplish. And I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Thank you. And it's interesting because we've known each other for around 20 years. And I think we met randomly at a party somewhere. I forget where, it was something
Sure.
like
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah.
And as you said, we've stayed in touch throughout the years and followed each other professionally and personally. And it's nice to maintain those long-standing relationships because those are the best kind of relationships. The ones that uh, you don't talk to someone for 5 or 10 years and then you pick up right where you left off. That's like the
That's right.
every time I go to London, I'll bump into one of my like school friends. I haven't seen them for like a lifetime, and we're still talking about the same thing that we were talking about, like arguing about who won in the football or something like that. The same conversation where we left it is where we continue, like decades
That's
later.
awesome.
Yeah, I think I always find that those to be the best friendships and the best relationships, and
I agree.
very New York style, also very English style as well, like London style.
Yeah,
So.
it's real. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love London too. Which yeah, I'm actually in Europe right now. I'm in Scandinavia, so I know you're in the beautiful Florida region.
Sunny
Um,
Miami.
sunny Miami, exactly.
Welcome to Miami.
And Miami's changed so much also since, we were kids and since we used to go there and travel, right? It's become such a congested area too.
I
Whether
remember driving up and down A1A and half of these buildings that are there today, none of them existing. I remember when Brickell was a wasteland and um it everything has just changed so much. Like South Florida is not what it used to be, which is typical of most places, but it's definitely over the last since COVID, it's become like I think it's the New York is the epicenter of business, and so many New Yorkers and Californians and international companies and Fortune 500 companies and Jeff Bezos just moved here and Mark Zuckerberg has just moved here and Miami is
I might
becoming
have to move there.
yeah, Miami is becoming the melting pot for Europeans, Americans, wealthy individuals, big corporations, and the downtown area is just growing and growing and growing. And anyone who wants to pay me for advertising Miami right now, it's good. Just send me a Venmo or Zelle. It's just helping your real estate prices go up.
Worth the show. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, Adam, because I'm between Sweden, Washington, D.C., and Dubai, and also California. And I can tell you that, this war has obviously affected so much.
Yeah.
I just put a post out about how, for example, look, obviously we're very fortunate that it's not going to affect our bottom line, but the price of groceries in the US,
Insane.
right? Is for example, it's insane. I just posted about it, so I'll talk about it. I went to the Whole Foods equivalent of Sweden just today. Today was, yeah, did a little grocery run and had, got some fruits and veggies, basic stuff, whatever. It was about 67, $70, I would say, approximately. And it's called ICA. Literally, if you get the same exact things from Whole Foods in the US, it would be around 160 to $180. $100 more.
Yeah.
And it affects everyday Americans. And it's amazing to see how the economic shift, where a place like in Europe, for example, I mean, England's a different situation, France is different, but it's funny to see how over the past 3 years things have changed so drastically. And that being said, a lot of people are looking to get out of California, where we both used to live.
Yeah.
They're looking to more move towards, Florida. They're even looking to go to places like Dubai,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
The cost of living in the US, I mean, the cost of groceries, the cost of gas, but specifically the cost of groceries. You used to buy for like $50, you could buy a decent amount of food. Now for like $50, you can buy like a couple of bags of chips and Coca-Cola. I mean, it really is quite that bad.
Insane.
It's like healthy eating in America is not for the lack of means. It's and the quality of food keeps going down as well. That's another problem. You've
Which is
got
crazy.
yeah, you've got
Crazy
a
because
pill by Bill Gates, which is a toxic chemical that they're now putting on fruit, and they're putting vaccines in meat, and they're relabeling fake meat as real meat. So you just don't know what you're buying or what you're getting anymore. It's half the food that you eat in America is legally banned in most of the Europe and around the world.
it
It's
is.
and
It
yet
is.
in America, people are consuming it every day. It's really quite.
And Adam, you know what else they're trying to do is, the Bill Gates of the world. They're trying to sneak uh bugs as
Yes,
protein.
yes.
Bug protein.
Yes, we should be eating bugs. They should be eating caviar and champagne and like filet mignon, and we should be eating cockroach eggs. And if you've ever licked the back of an envelope, right, and said,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's made from one of the compounds is cockroach eggs. So that's why I
I
never
didn't know.
lick back of the envelope. I always use a Scotch tape or we used to, I don't know what they call it in America, but in England they used to have a thing called a Pritt stick. It was like a little glue stick,
Yeah, yeah,
and I haven't thought of that in years. Anyway, but we used to have a Pritt stick, and that would be the little glue that we would use to seal things with
yeah.
back in the day. So anyway, Adele and I can always talk for hours about any subject.
Yes.
So we
Go
have a couple of
dive
questions for
into it.
you that we're going to jump into, and I'm going to go ahead and say, so we've talked about you being formerly Fox News and a Breitbart News anchor. Is that anchoress, anchoree?
Journalist on air personality.
Oh, on-air personality.
Yeah,
On-air.
so I've done like a show. For example, I was also hosting, stand-ups in Median, which is a Moroccan TV station.
Mhm.
At Breitbart, I was appearing as an analyst. Believe it or not, at Fox also, well, when I was there in New York, I was doing a lot of on-air hits here and there. But now I do a lot more on-air appearances, about
Mhm.
once or three, four times a month, I would say, sometimes more. I'll do TV hits for a lot of channels, especially with Indian TV, India Today, Republic TV, ET Now. I did Bloomberg Business. So doing a lot more analysis. As a journalist, I was doing a lot of investigative stories. I was focusing on, foreign policy, national security, and tech. And I did transition actually, my journalism career into international geopolitical consulting and frankly, online reputation management and also pure business. So, kind of through the process of doing so much travel internationally, living in so many different places, cultivating the contacts and having the access that I do to the media, I'm a fellow at two think tanks in Washington, D.C., also the Gold Institute for International Strategy and also the Ideological Defense Institute. So, I've managed to take all of it and kind of pivot it into a my own business. So little bit of the media still, a lot of the media still, but with a more international business twist, as
So
I like to
a
call
very
it.
famous quote by Denzel Washington. Um, he said, if you read the news, you're misinformed. If you don't read the news, you're uninformed. I always take the view that anything I see in the news is a lot of entertainment, with maybe one or two tiny truths for the public observation, right? You obviously have very left-wing media, CNN, the New York Post, things like that, and you have very right-wing publications like Fox and Breitbart. How does the public know what is real and what isn't? Because everything news is no longer fact-based, it's opinion-based, and that opinion is definitely bought and paid for by the politicians that they support. So how should a reader of the news understand and kind of evaluate what is real versus what is fake?
It's a great question. So news has become advocacy, but it's also a pay for play. That's why I also decided to leave it in a more formal capacity because you're essentially getting also foreign interests, different business interests that are whoever's willing to foot the bill to push their narrative forward. I can pay the highest price, and a lot of people don't, aren't able to do that. A lot of let's say countries, a lot of businesses and whatnot. So that's what it's become. I think. To be frank with you, I have to watch the news to keep abreast of what's happening, but I really don't. I take it with a grain of salt. And it's so weird saying that as a journalist myself, but I realize that in the US, especially, you're not getting the full story. And I'm not going to compare it to North Korea, obviously, because it's completely different. You can't compare it. But I feel like every country is a little North Korea-esque in regards to they're pushing whatever is going to benefit and the narrative that's going to feed their base and keep them, in line and want to keep the national interest abreast. Watch Bloomberg. Bloomberg is really good. Also, I say at the end of the day too, if you got to watch TV, you have to watch both the CNNs, MSNBCs, and the Fox Newses, and the Newsmaxes, and One American News Networks, because you're going to get a whole spectrum
I get
of
I get all my
thought.
news from the Weekly World News.
Say it again?
The Weekly World News. You ever read the Weekly World News?
I have not.
Oh, it's a garbage rag, but it's like,
I'm looking it up.
yeah, man now lives on the moon. They've just discovered
Oh,
that.
oh my God. This is fantastic.
Are you looking it up?
I am.
The
Dear
Weekly World
Dottie.
News. There you go. It's the most bizarre, made-up theory. It's like a comic book of news.
This is hilarious. This is hilarious. They have a column called Dear Dottie. They have My America by Ed Anger. That is hilarious. This is amazing.
Yes,
I'm gonna
it's
take a
like
look.
news but funny. It's like, and the other place where I like to get my news is obviously Saturday Night Live.
You know what? That's fantastic. Because comedy mimics reality. You're probably going to get more of an accurate depiction of what's
Yeah,
actually
right.
happening from the comedians.
It
Robin Williams said that a lot.
it's like nobody hurt Sarah Palin more in the election with what was his name, like than Tina
John
Fey.
McCain.
Like Tina Fey, she just nailed it. Like I can see Russia from my house. I mean Tina Fey. I can tell you, I don't agree with her politically, but Tina Fey has got to be one of the
No,
best
she's
political
brilliant.
correspondents that exists today.
She is. I love SNL. I love
Yeah,
it. And it's very funny you mentioned that because it was literally when President Trump, before he decided to run for office, it was when he was being roasted. That was the impetus for him to run for office, believe it or not. So it's
yeah.
very funny that you say that. 100% Hollywood. The late Andrew Breitbart, because I used to work with Breitbart, he
Mhm.
always said politics is downstream from Hollywood.
Yes, yes,
Culture.
yes,
And
absolutely.
Hollywood is culture. And so you're absolutely right. It's an how do I say, inextricable relationship, I like to say, right? So everything is politics. You can hate politics, but at the end of the day, something is going to be politically, not in this typical sense of Washington, D.C. bureaucrats necessarily, but politics in terms of you're going to have, it can be a left-leaning issue, a right-leaning issue. It's always compartmentalized into these two camps at the end of the day. And Hollywood is the
All right.
biggest, display of it
So I always believe this is interesting. You and I both have friends from all over the world, okay?
all
So
over.
so when we're talking about the Russia-Ukraine war, you ask your Russian friends what they're watching on the Russian news, and the Ukrainian friends what they're watching on the Ukrainian news, and then you have people watching on the American news and on the English news, and not one of these stories will line up. Then you
None.
take the Israeli-Palestine conflicts, none of those stories line up. Now you take the US-Iran war, none of those stories line up. So what we basically understand is news today is as much propaganda as it was 100 years ago. It's
It is.
worse even. So, and then
You
you
want to know why
have,
it's worse? Do you want to know
what's
why it's
that?
worse? You want to know why it's worse?
Okay.
Because of social media.
Yes, I was going to go to social media. Social media, it's like the Daily Mail in London used to be a respected newspaper. Now it's all about Temptation Island, which is like a raunchy couples TV show, or OnlyFans, everything 5 minutes, or this. It's like there's no news. It's all about clickbait. They're making their money from clickbait. So you're not getting quality news, you're getting nonsense. And if you try to read an article about anything important, there's so much junk that comes up, you can never read it.
It is. These advertisements, adverts. Also, Adam, I have to tell you, it's very concerning that OnlyFans has become such a big sensation. It's ludicrous. I mean, it's very worrisome. That it's become so like it's desensitizing everyone to this sort of thing. I mean, even on X, I've come across accounts that are openly displaying pornography, and it's not banned. It's crazy. I mean, even Grok, you can get some salacious, I guess, renderings according to what the CEO has been putting out there, promoting it himself. So it's very interesting. As you said, Daily Mail has become a salacious clickbait network, and I think that maybe it was ahead of its time, or maybe it's following the new trend.
Yeah, and just talking about OnlyFans for a second, if we look at Instagram, Like it's everything's become transactional. It's like if it teaches women that they should have multiple partners, not be loyal and milk men for what they can get, and it teaches men to see women as commodity, not
Yes.
as people. It's really promoting the end of relationships and the
Andrew Tate.
absolute endorsement of promiscuity and uh, dis disingenuous intentions. It doesn't promote anything on social media that is, as you and I were raised, traditional old-fashioned family values, which I'm
Exactly.
personally very big on. I know you are as well. And
I
I
am as
think
well.
that it's important that we try to find a way back to that to promote old-fashioned family values. Because I think it's to the huge detriment of society that we're losing that.
Gen Z is coming back with that. They're actually going back to the old-fashioned traditional values. James Bond, um, who's the gentleman who
Daniel
played it
Craig.
most recently? Daniel Craig. I think that's it. Yes, it is.
Everyone thinks I look like him.
You do
I
actually.
maintain
You
I'm better
do.
looking, but
You
still.
do. That's amazing. Literally, he said during one of the Bond episodes, I forgot what it was, this films, that sometimes the old ways are the best.
Yes.
And you know what? They're making a comeback with the next generation. And so
I,
I think you're right. There is a way to save the world, hopefully, from the self-destructive nature that the previous generations have been pivoting it into.
Yeah, I mean, it's the swinging 60s was one thing. I wasn't around for it, but like I said, in the 21st century, the family values is definitely not being promoted. And obviously, they're doing that because they want to lower the birth rate, and it's one of the ways that they do it by downplaying the family unit. On the other hand, you have the rise of Islam all over the world, and they have 8 to 10 children, so I don't think it's working as well as they want it to.
It's not. And Adam, it's kind of crazy. And this is not a political thing at all. It's just basic statistics.
Yeah,
It's pure statistics. If you look at it, Europe has increasingly become, it's seen a demographic change.
yeah,
There's like in Scandinavia, Sweden, you can walk around. You used to see blonde hair, blue-eyed people like everywhere,
yeah.
Swedes typically, right? The
Hmm.
Vikings, right? Now you see mostly people who are from other parts of the Middle East, from Africa, and
Yeah,
you barely see Swedes. It's very interesting for me. The same thing in the UK. And there's nothing, look, there's nothing, obviously, it's fine, it's great. But for me, the most important thing is if you're going to be a melting pot, if you're going to go to a different country, you have to assimilate. You
yes,
can't just walk around, speaking your own language, not learning the local language, abide by the laws of that land. And that's a very practical, way to give advice for anything. America doesn't tolerate anything else. Well, it has, but I think it's stopping. If you go to India, it doesn't tolerate that. I spend a significant amount of time also in India. You go to the UAE, they definitely
yeah.
in Dubai don't tolerate that. You are in Dubai.
Yeah, you
Look,
follow
you're
their
already
rules, you do
drinking.
as they
It's
say. End of
fine.
story. You
That's
know,
right.
it's you can't curse in public, you can't use
Yes,
profanity. I don't think you can kiss in public in the UAE. I
you
think
cannot.
you
Holding
can't even
hands
hold hands. I think there has to be
in
a
malls,
very
in malls.
yeah, right. There's a
Yeah,
very fine line of what you can and cannot do, and I actually respect that.
I do
I
too.
personally think civil war in Europe is inevitable.
Civil, I think so too. I think we're heading towards that pendulum again. Look, you
Yeah,
had the Pegida in Germany, right? Which was again, which was, I guess, look, when you look at it, such a diametrically drastic shift in the population, which we're seeing right now over the
yeah,
past decade plus, is bound to have an opposite effect.
yes.
That's all. It's all it is.
Because with the rising population, and I have many Muslim friends, I'm not going to say anything bad about
Me
Islam,
too.
but you have a rising Islamic, and they want to come and bring Sharia law, and you have the local indigenous population who don't want it, and at some point they're going to start forcing values that they don't want, and it has to implode. There's no way that with such a imbalanced society with such significantly different views and cultures and belief system, there's no way that they will live in harmony because they never have in history. That is just a historical fact.
I want to tell you something. It's so interesting. A colleague of mine, Danny Burwami, and he basically he was born into a Muslim family, and he basically was in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, and he was conveying a story about how he came across a gentleman who was, you know, Dutch, born and raised in that country, but Turkish ethnically, and the guy was, said, "Oh, you're Muslim too?" And he's like, "No, I actually converted to Christianity." whatever, and which he did. And the guy was looked at him like he wanted to, like, with such anger in his eyes, that how could you do that? And he goes, how could you do that? How could you leave the faith? You're a kafir, all this stuff. And it escalated. And Danny said that he basically turned around and said to him that our goal is to turn all of all of Europe into an Islamic caliphate. And he goes,
Yeah,
"How could you say that? You're born here. You're Dutch. You're born in this country. Like, what are you talking about? This is your country." And he goes, "No, this is the goal of what we're trying to seek to do." And there are people who think that way, and that's a
yeah,
problem. And they don't represent the majority of Muslims. That's the
no,
thing. But the problem is that they exist, and they are on their mission to basically bully and threaten other Muslims who don't think the way they
no.
do.
You have to realize that the majority of Muslims are actually amazing people. All right, they're
Of course.
hardworking, they
Absolutely.
are conservative, they treat their families well. And I'm talking about, if I go to England as an example, the community that was born and raised there, not the community that came later. All right.
Yes.
And the same in Europe, and the same in the US, and the same everywhere. It's like mostly the homegrown are amazing people. I have so many friends that I grew up with around the world, and I respect them and I talk to them all the time. But you have this what you call new version, like the 2.0, and they want to bring Sharia law, and they reckon that as many as 30% of them, if not more, are radicalized and want Sharia law in those countries. And that's a lot of people. That population is such a big number that if they start rioting through the streets, and we could turn our clocks back to the brown shirts in Germany and how Hitler got into office through intimidation and violence back in the early 30s. It's going to be the same thing. So, and then also they're infiltrating areas of government. Just look in the US, in Michigan, for example, where we've just
Oh,
had
yes.
all that fraud and I can't pronounce her name, but you know who I mean.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the
No, it's Rashida Tlaib from Michigan.
yeah, it's I don't know,
Illinois,
it's
Minneapolis.
yeah.
Illinois, Minneapolis. Yeah,
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 say potato, potato.
yeah. So, yeah.
Listen, there are three states in America that people care about. It's New York, Florida, California, and sometimes Texas. All right, and the rest of the country, no one really even knows where they are. Like, if you ask the average American where is any state around the U.S., they don't know. Where is Alabama? It's over there. Where is Georgia? Is I don't know. Like, if it's not on their GPS when they're driving, they don't know where it is.
You're right.
It's like they don't know geography
And we
anymore.
need to change that. That needs to change, honestly. It needs to change. People need to know. And by the way, Adam, this is not a conspiracy or anything. Apparently, the way the maps have been, the world map has been drawn out, it doesn't accurately depict the size of the different continents.
No, it does not. But it does get
Mhm.
one thing right. It
What
does
is
get one thing right, and that England is
Antarctica?
the
No,
center
I'm
of the
joking.
world. That's what
What,
it
say it
does
again?
get right. Everything's either left or right of England.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
If you look at an American map and
England
America
center
is
of the
in the
world.
center, it's wrong. And the correct map has England in the center. Everywhere is plus the UK or negative the UK. All time is based on Greenwich Mean Time. England is the center. It's the epicenter.
That's fascinating. Maybe it's time to update the maps. No, I'm kidding. That's great. So,
So we've covered a little bit of politics, a little bit. We've covered a bit of news media and politics. So what are you currently working? I know you're no longer an American media personality. You're no longer at Breitbart News. What are your current projects?
so I'm still an American media personality. I have my own podcast too, which is being relaunched, but I do a lot of analysis on air.
Mhm.
I was just in India actually at the India Today conclave and also the Racina Dialogue with ORF. So two huge events in New Delhi, speaking about literally the geopolitics and the state of how the US and India relations and just geopolitically how everything is moving, the security situation, and from an economic perspective. So I'm actually invited to speak in Dubai again next month at an economic forum as well, talking about the global economic situation. So that's going to be fun. I hope the situation gets safer with Iran between us, Adam, and between with your viewers. I have a feeling that this war is going to escalate again very soon. This war is
Absolutely.
far from over, far from over. So that's a big thing. But what I'm working on is I have my own geopolitical global consulting firm, business on online reputation management, launching a venture of my own pretty soon, hopefully, which I'll definitely let you know about. And yeah, it's a lot of R&D at the time at the moment, but just kind of a combination of things. So people who need help with getting businesses set up or with consulting in that regard, also in parts of the other world, like in the UAE. I have a company called Vista Nexum, Innovexis Consulting. So a few different, companies, organizations which kind of cover all the different aspects. And frankly, just doing my part to kind of get some truth and logic into the rest of the world, and having the opportunity, thank God, of living in other parts of the world. I've been exposed to a lot more, right? Just like you have.
Yeah.
And being a voice of hopefully reason and at least trying to cut through all the sound and get to the cut to the chase of what's really happening, right? You spoke about who to trust in the media. I think people like yourself, people like me, we're the ones who are honestly cutting to the chase and not beating around the bush with all the rosy language and rose-colored lenses. So that's why I'm so glad that you're doing your show and that you're hopefully going to expand and more people can hear you as well.
Thank
So
you.
it's
And
important.
that is the goal. And like I said, it's not everyone knows this about me. Everyone knows me about real estate and finance, but I've done the public speaking circuit. I've done a lot of motivational speaking. I've done a lot of business development. I'm actually one of my favorite things to do that I've done a lot of over the years is business startups. So it's interesting that you talked about helping people grow their business because the actual Adam Cohen Today brand, people have been asking me about it because it's not like my typical repertoire. Is we're launching an entire brand management service because I really want to help people grow their business. And the thing is that I see a lot of companies on social media that are saying, "Hey, $200, we'll put stuff on you." But the thing is that posting isn't content. Engagement is content.
Yep.
And what's important is everything that you do has to be engaging. So it's like it sounds to me that you're definitely succeeding in that if you're attending all these big events and growing your audience in that way because it's the engagement is how we get our word out to people. It's not just posting pictures or
No.
like fancy mission statements. It's the power of knowledge. It's the power of people hearing you, understanding you, agreeing with you, and wanting to stand up for themselves and say, yes, we need a clearer picture of what's going on in the world.
And Adam, in the age of with the advent of AI, there's such a fear that people are going to get replaced by AI. It's becoming more conscious. It's becoming more of a comfort for people. People are literally turning AI into the therapist, telling it so
Yes,
many things.
yes, chat
So
GPT.
it's amazing, right? And oh, it's crazy. And so then the question becomes, how do you then get people to shift back to, I think it's part of the plan, is to turn people to isolate them so much from
Yes,
human
yes.
interaction
That's exactly
that
the
they
plan.
can gather intel on people and have them, confide in, and they're so absent. How do we get people to turn inward and also to turn outward and actually disengage from their devices? Stickers for my daughter, by the way. She likes coloring all my devices with her stickers. It's always different every 2 or 3 days. But basically get them to interact more. And that's going to be an amazing, amazing task that I think we're going to be honestly tasked with getting people, the next generation to do. So I love what
Yes.
you're doing, getting people
Thank
to
you. Thank you.
business.
And the goal here is definitely, okay, we do every Monday at 5 o'clock a business brainstorm. And it's not just about business. We're talking about current events, what like geopolitics. We're talking about business, things that can affect um, everything in our lives, which is relevant to business. And it's interesting because the people coming on, I'm not trying to teach them how to start a business. They already know. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. What we're doing is we're starting a conversation and we're talking about real issues that impact all of us. And whether you're a business owner, a high-level executive, attorney, or just consumer, or someone in a job, it's the things that we're talking about affect all of us. Because as a business owner, right, I have to think about what makes money for the people that work with me and for me. And as for the clients, and as a client, they need to understand how they take that to go about their business to make it profitable for everyone. There's a relationship and a partnership between every level of business,
Mhm.
and people need to communicate with that more because if we focus on AI, chat GPT, we're losing that human connection and relying more on our phones, and we're then the system wins. We need to fight back on that.
But then, Adam, that's the plan. Losing human connection to the point where the only source of human connection, because everyone else becomes basically a droid, that the AI becomes the human connection.
Yes, yes, that's exactly the plan.
And
They want.
yeah,
All right, did you just Google that?
no, I didn't. Thank you, though. I look at series like The Black Mirror. I think it was The Black Mirror, but they have some pretty creepy things that are kind of mimicking real life, like the social credit system.
Yeah,
Okay, for one. There's an episode that literally talks about how this girl, for example, she walks in every day and she has to like smile, hey, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then one day she's having a bad day. And every day when she goes and smiles at the coffee shop, she gets like a 5-star rating and she can live in like the top luxury area. All of a sudden she's having a really bad day. Things start not going in her direction and she's just very upset. Doesn't have the smile. She's like upset. She gets like a 2-star, 3-star. All of a sudden her rating starts dropping. It's
yeah,
like a umbrella effect and
yeah,
she can no longer have the social credit to live in the most luxurious
yeah.
part of town.
And that's what they want, social
Downtown.
credit system. They're talking about it in the UK right now.
Thank you. Digital IDs,
Digital IDs,
policing the internet.
digital money. They want to be able to turn it off, limit what you can spend it on, how you can spend it. If you don't spend it in time, like cash is king. I mean, buy gold.
So buy gold. Well, look, buy gold. I have a feeling gold crashed again for the first time in a lot of years. I agree with you. Look, gold also is something to be very invested in, but I'm worried, I'm concerned, Adam, that too much of diversifying towards gold could end up resulting in, I don't know if this is going to happen. I hope it doesn't. But how do we know they're not going to come 5 years down the line and say we're going to confiscate your gold?
I read about some African country that was paying their politicians in Rolexes. Because
Oh my.
because they don't lose value, there's enormous demand, and they appreciate steadily. Right? Of course, Rolex have just announced that there's no more waiting list, so maybe that won't apply. But for the last 5 to 10 years, there's been a waiting list for watches, and they've just appreciated and appreciated, and they sell for double the retail. So, like in one African nation, they were literally buying Rolexes to pay their people in because it was the one commodity they could sell and not lose money on.
Rolex is great, but I personally prefer Audemars Piguet, APs. I'm an AP, I'm a tech kind of girl, but APs are great. But
Noted.
Rolex is great too. Rolex is
Noted.
great.
Noted.
And it has to do with also, it's so funny. It has to do with numerology. Something
Yeah.
very interesting that we can talk about too. I know you're a little bit into it as well, but almost every person who is, let's say member of the royal family, who is a world leader or is among the 1% is abreast with numerology. I think it's important for people to be aware of it as well. I'm
So,
sure a
so
lot of
someone,
viewers.
someone did a reading on me based on time of birth, place of birth, obviously month and year of birth and day of birth, and all of these things. And, I have a very, what's the word, confident, aggressive nature, right? And if I was on a battlefield, I would be the one leading the charge, going, "Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go." And apparently, my history dating back to numerology brings me. I was a warlord at some point. And subconsciously, and no one has told me that I'm not no longer still a warlord, so I'm still ready for war.
That's really good.
Right.
You know,
So we've talked a little bit about this today, but let's kind of get a little bit more into the subject. And since you're geopolitics, journalism background, so there's a lot of things going on in the world today. We have the Trump effect, we have the war in Iran, the cost of living increase, pandemics. Let's add in the World Economic Forum, AI replacing jobs. That's a lot in a not even a New York minute of things that are happening right now in the world. How do you think this is all going to impact us today and our children in the future?
and not just that, which is insane amount of things that are happening concurrently. Does anyone feel like the days are getting shorter?
That's
But
yeah,
anyway, right?
like
It's
they're
weird.
taking away seconds without telling us.
A little bit. You should watch the movie In Time with
I've
Justin
seen it.
Timberlake.
I've seen it with Justin Timberlake and
A
I forget
little bit relevant.
Amanda
Yes,
Seyfried, I think it was, right?
I think so. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, really, really great film. So, how do I think it's going to affect us? I think what we have to do is get ahead of whatever's happening and just educate ourselves. We have to. really know what's being planned in the curriculums. I want to homeschool my daughter, to be honest with you. Um, Private school, honestly, I think that the school system in the UAE is great. You have a lot of options there. I think there's a very few places in the world where if you have the opportunity to choose, then I think you should choose either a very fully well vetted private institution that still does, Montessori like, or fosters creativity and individuality. I think you're going to be seeing a lot less of that, especially in the public school systems. But still, look, America still has a lot of great schools, obviously. The UAE for sure. I wouldn't want to send my daughter to a school in Europe, to be frank with you.
I wouldn't want to send mine to Harvard.
I wouldn't want to send mine to Harvard either. And that actually, a friend, someone who I mentor was just 4.7 GPA, Adam. Um, Asian background, from Southeast Asia, and brilliant, brilliant kid. So well-rounded, sports, music, socially, talented in the arts, you name it. Parent was a Harvard alum, was rejected from Harvard. And it didn't make any sense, but ended up getting into a much better program, to be honest with you. And I said to him point blank, I said, this is the biggest blessing you could have asked for, because your worldview, the way you see things, you're not going to be a cog in Harvard system. You're going to go out there and you're going to become the best, most genius innovator in the field that you're entering, which is the medical field and his profession as well. And he's like, you know what, you're right. And I'll tell you about it later, but he's a kid to keep your eye on. But Harvard has become, it's not what it used to. It's fallen from grace. I think Columbia, you have,
Great university.
yeah, sorry.
Columbia's a great university.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's just it's insane the capitulation that's happening. And you can't even it's supposed to be a liberal um educational system, liberal arts school, right?
Yeah.
And liberal thinking is supposed to allow free thinking, but you can't think freely anymore in these
No,
schools.
if you wear a pro-Trump t-shirt or you're an outspoken conservative, they'll kick you off the campus.
Look, there's definitely TDS, Trump derangement syndrome,
Yeah.
obviously. And don't get me wrong, yeah, exactly. President Trump is, look, no leader is perfect, obviously. President Trump isn't perfect either, and he knows that, but he'll joke about it and say there's no more perfect person than me. But essentially at the end of the day, he's doing, I believe, what he believes is best for America. But um, you know, the results of that are going to have to be seen. I think that he's a very big point of conflict, because a lot of the MAGA base, his traditional base, they're obviously anti-war, and President Trump himself is very anti-war. But we also understand that America had to go in to Venezuela the way it did. America has to go into Iran the way it's going into it, and America has to acquire Greenland, to be honest with you, in order to survive. And it's really sad, but it's gotten to the point where it's about existentialism. And America's exceptionalism has transitioned into existentialism. Is America still going to exist if those things aren't done? I don't know if it's going to exist in the form that we've known it. And you can see it, just the rising prices. Adam, we're entering a new era where it's going to be marked by energy and power, but not in the traditional sense, right? Rare earths, those are huge. It's a new era of hybrid warfare too. That's going to be the future. Whoever can control the rare earth minerals and elements, they're going to be the people to control the future of warfare. And I think that that's what's going to be the biggest determinant of um, who the wealthy nations are and who the others are.
Well,
And
I have some thoughts on everything you just said.
you have some thoughts, please. I would love to hear your thoughts.
First of all, when you start talking about rare earth, it makes me think of the movie Starship Troopers. Did you ever watch this movie?
No, I did not. I
No,
have
kill the bugs, kill them all. You didn't see this movie?
no Starship Troopers. Let me make sure.
This was like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. This was a great movie.
I did not. I have to watch
You have to
this.
add this to your watch list. This is a great movie. It's interesting because it could be the direction that we're going in, like similar to that movie In Time and similar to the Terminator movies. I think that's all relevant in today's day and age. But a couple of things that you said I want to kind of like throw back at you with. Talking
Please.
about universities, we have kids in school today studying in university for degrees that they're spending 30, 40, 50, $100,000 to go to. And unfortunately, an enormous number of these jobs won't even exist by the time they
Won't.
graduate. All
They
right.
won't.
All right. Or you've got kids wanting to go to university, and those jobs 100% won't exist by the time they graduate. And yet the universities are still selling them for stupid money. And we have a shortage of skilled laborers, vocational. And, for example, in UK, you have university, but you also have polytechnic, and polytechnic is for skilled trade. And I think that's a good thing because you've got plumbers and electricians now making 150, 200,000 a year because there's such a shortage of skilled labor. So I think that's one interesting thing about education is what do you study? What jobs are still going to be around in not 10, 15, or 20 years, but in 2 years or 3 years? Because
So I'm
you've
glad you
got
brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because Adam, I think by 2028, the opportunity to build wealth is going to diminish drastically.
enormous, yeah, it's going to be
Drastically.
night and
It is
day difference.
crazy. I think it's already basically everything hasn't put in place to put a stop to it, but
Yes.
it's going to start being implemented fully in 2028.
Well, you have the
And
World Economic Forum 2030 agenda, which not enough people have read. I talk to people and they think I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist,
you're
but
not.
I've been right about every conspiracy I've ever called out since for as long as I can remember. I've never been wrong about conspiracy theory, but everyone has called me crazy. All right, I was right about COVID, I was right about the vaccines, and that's just to name that. But keeping to the point for a second, is the World Economic Forum is a group of eccentric billionaires who have decided that we will own nothing and be happy. You're talking about the richest people in the world, together with the most corrupt politicians in the world, who have already decided that this is going to happen. What do you think we can possibly do to stop them? Because the answer is nothing. There's nothing we can
Nothing.
do unless we go
Nothing.
to war, all right? A world war against us versus them, all right? It's going to happen. The 2030 agenda is happening. Everything is already in place. The war in Iran is and the Ukraine-Russia war and any other conflict that's going on, Israel and Palestine. This is all to create dividends. It's to create animosity, is to separate left from right, it's to separate radical from reasonable. This is all happening and it's continuing to happen. And I want to kind of go around that for a second. My mother asked me a few weeks ago how Trump is doing for America. And I said, I voted for Trump. I stand behind Trump. I'm neither for the war with Iran. I'm neither against the war with Iran. I was neither for the what happened with Venezuela. I'm neither against it. I see the general benefit for the US by both of those two things occurring. Iran is a regime. It is a dangerous regime. It needs to be controlled or somehow. But at the end of the day, it's all about the money and about the oil. But it's not just about money and about oil. The military industrial complex is making billions in new
It's going nowhere.
contracts.
It's
Was
going
that?
nowhere. It's
Yeah.
going nowhere.
Yeah.
It's getting an upgrade.
Yes. Europe and NATO have now been forced by America to buy American weapons and military arms and to increase their spending. And all right. So I think Trump is doing great for the country of the United States as an economic machine. That I would say Trump is doing a great job.
Mhm.
How is he helping Americans individually, other than, oh yeah, we support this, or no, we don't, whatever? The reality is, and he's doing some great PR about all of that, but the
Mhm.
reality is that it's not really helping the average American. If anything, the average American might be worse off.
They are, Adam, and honestly, it has to do with even the price of groceries. For example, people pay everyday Americans, average Americans, whatever you want to call them, pay with their bank accounts.
Yep.
That's how it works. No matter what
Uh,
they can see their political leaning is left, right, up, down, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, their bottom line is what will push them to the voting polls
correct.
to cast their
Right.
ballot.
Right.
And I think that's where President Trump is, very concerned. Look, he inherited a lot of this stuff, the
Mhm.
economic strife, right? The previous administration plunged America into this war between Ukraine and Russia that was, unnecessary in a lot of ways, but it happened. And basically it's just a bit of a disaster and he's inherited, but now he has no one cares who caused it. All they
No.
care about is we're here and what
Yeah.
are you going to do to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's something that President Trump has said, and I have a feeling that he knows this and he's doing whatever he can to fix it, and midterms are coming right up the corner, right around the corner.
Yeah.
So it's it's very crazy.
Right.
Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. Give me one
That's
second.
that's okay. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to say another thing. So talking about Europe as well. So my ultimate theory is under the World WEF, under I forget the name, Ursula von Buren, the head
Yeah.
of the EU. I think I said that
Sure.
correctly. Their ultimate goal is to unite the EU.
Von der Leyen. Yeah.
That's
Von
it.
der Leyen.
Wanda whatchamacallit. I don't like her. If she was to get pushed off a cliff tomorrow, I'd even volunteer to be the pusher. The world doesn't need Ursula. She's not a particularly nice lady. And she's had a lot of issues with money laundering and fraud, but they obviously hide everything. I'm not a big fan. But the point of that is they want us to own nothing and be happy, and the richest people in the world have decided that. But the other thing you've got to take in consideration is the rising radical Islamic regime in Europe, the rising numbers, the diminishing white native. All right. So you've got to look at the possibility of 20 years from now that the European Union could be one nation. All right. It could be an Islamic nation. It could be an aggressive Islamic nation that wants to invade the United States. And for the first time in history, there would be a country big enough to do it.
Do you know what did Anne Hathaway say recently in her
Uh,
interview?
Something about the devil and Prada.
No, during her Devil and Prada, she goes, Inshallah. And she just was gifted a Quran. Look, it's great. I say Inshallah from growing up. I'm Iranian
Yeah.
ethnically, Persian ethnically, and say
It,
it. But
mean, it
it's
means
very
please God in
interesting.
Arabic if anyone's watching, so just
Yeah, it does, but it's very interesting to
yeah,
see her, of all people, who has this is the inoculation. This is basically
yeah,
getting everyone ready in Hollywood, the cultural epicenter of spreading information and programming to the masses, to inoculate them into the coming next generation. And it has
yeah,
to do with the rise and dominance of Islam. And that's
yes,
exactly why you have her doing it. That's exactly why Andrew Tate, who I don't agree with, we're talking about value system, who I don't agree with his value system necessarily, right? I know that he doesn't believe in half the stuff he says, but anyway,
yeah,
he's saying it. And basically he converted to Islam. He didn't do it for anything except for expediency. That's all it was. It was to
yeah,
benefit his bottom line. But the point is he did it and he made a big waves over it and he was able to touch a lot of hearts and minds in that regard, the boys that he is seen as a role model for. And this is part of the plan. And something else, Adam, there is a basically I wanted to say regarding the WEF, World Economic Forum, um, if you can't beat them, join them. So that's kind of the plan, right? They want everyone to realize that there is no way to beat them, and you just have to join the system. And honestly, there's ways of getting around whatever's coming to make
I
sure you're not left
agree
behind.
and I disagree. There are a lot more of us than there are of them. All right.
Of
And most
course, of course.
jarheads, right, are very pro-America. Okay. And if the government becomes too liberal and it's preaching to what you call your average jarhead, which is your right-wing conservative, I'm not going to say hillbilly, but you I don't think anyone's going to be watching this. I think
But
we,
Adam, no, they are, but it'll come back. But Adam, can I tell you something? This is the problem here. The
yeah,
problem is UBI, Universal Basic Income.
yeah.
That's what people, unfortunately, the majority of people don't want to work hard the way we do. They don't want to work
They don't.
for
They do
they
not.
want a handout. And this is exactly why it's going to be harder to beat the people that the majority don't agree
Yeah,
with because they're not willing to put in the work. It's more convenient for them, especially with the coming wrath. It's the job wrath, right? The economic wrath of what's happening. How it's not going to all those jobs that people were told to go into computer programming
yeah.
and all this stuff wiped out by AI. It was
Completely.
done intentionally. It was done
I,
intentionally.
I just wrote something on AI yesterday. I'm working on a couple of website ideas, and I'm typing into the AI thing what I want, and in 20 pages,
You used
three
to have to pay
minutes,
someone 20, thirty
three
thousand dollars
minutes.
to get one done. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
And so this is what it's part of. And they're trying to the people who are going to you said graduate from college, go into college, not have jobs waiting for them, universal basic income. That's what they're going to be looking forward
yeah.
to
And then
support
that's
them
going to be
that
tied
way.
to your social credit score, which is going to be tied to what you can and can't say, what you should can and
Prison,
can't do.
prison planet.
Yes, President. I'm ready to lead the charge. I'm ready to. I always say if there's going to be a war, I want to be the head of the tank division, and I will lead my troops to fight the World Economic Forum and put Bill Gates in front of me, I'll have that rocket launcher ready, you know? So metaphorically, for anyone watching, metaphorically, not yeah,
Yeah, of course. No, that's what they
metaphorically,
want. That's why they want to send everyone to the moon, or to Mars.
yeah.
So I have to, what's it called? I have to head out soon because my daughter needs to go
Uh-huh.
to sleep. I'm being summoned. But basically,
I think we covered all of the questions that I wrote down that I sent you. I think we
fantastic.
did cover everything in a rounded way.
We should do this again too because there's a lot
Yes,
more to discuss.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but I'm concerned, Adam. I'm concerned about the future generations. I really think that look, we're lucky because we're go-getters. We're, brilliant in our own ways, and we know how to manage things and get around it. But um, there's a lot of unknowns that the rest of the population also is going to be facing. And I'll just say one thing if I leave with one last thought. Everything that's happening has already been put out there in the
Yes,
media,
yeah, it's been laid out for
in the
many years.
cinema. People just decided to not take it seriously and thought it was
Yes.
just
Uh, uh,
fantastical.
and they've taught us to not trust the news and that nothing we can and that nothing we do can change anything. So they've basically trained people to be ants. And instead of teaching people that you can go and do whatever you want, you can be president of the United States, you can become a billionaire, they're training people into acceptance and into losing their identity. And even with cars.
Subjugation.
As a great
Subjugation.
example. It used to be when I first started driving, my friends and I would like play a game where we would have to try and figure out what the car was behind us from 100 feet away at night by its headlights. All right?
Oh, cool.
I can't tell one car apart anymore when I'm looking right at them and they're
Of
right in
course
front
you
of
can. Of
me.
course you can tell.
Of
That's
course,
impossible.
yeah, but it's the thing is that everything is losing its individuality and it's happening on purpose
Absolutely. And honestly, Adam, I have to tell you something. There's a reason they don't allow the Chinese cars into America.
because they're
They're
just 1,000
they're
times better.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen.
they're
I've been following some of
amazing.
this. I've been following how amazing these cars are and how little they cost compared to American cars or German.
I forgot the name of the brand, but I've seen it. It looks literally the front like kind of a Rolls Royce, and the
It does.
interior is
Yeah.
10 times more beautiful than a Rolls Royce.
And
It's
it's forty
crazy.
thousand dollars.
It's insane.
It's insane. It's literally better than everything that we have, and it's $40,000. I mean, you can have one in the US on the road and taxed and registered for under 50,000, and it's the nearest competitor in the US. It would be 6 to 8 times the price, and it's like
Yep.
$40,000. It's crazy. All right,
Yep.
so before we wrap up, I gave you the opportunity to get a bonus question back at me before we call it a day. Did you come up with anything good?
So, okay, I'm gonna ask you this. If you could do, it's obviously you've been through your look, we both have had our ups and downs and like failed and succeeded
Mhm.
and that's why we're successful because we know what it's like to build ourselves up and to take, whatever it is and just do the grind and make it go up again. If you knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
My 60. That's a good one. Knowing what I know now, what would I tell my 16-year-old self? I tell you what I would tell myself. Um, I should have moved to the US earlier.
Okay, how old were you when you moved to the US?
26.
So, ten, wow,
All
that's
right.
still pretty impressive.
I moved when I was 26. I had 10 years of business when I moved to the US. Well, if I could tell my 16-year-old self anything, I should have come earlier because America really is the land of opportunity so much more than any other country. And
Yes.
that's based on volume alone. And the things I've learned and the skills I've learned and the people that I've met and the opportunities I've seen, I wish I would have come 10 years earlier. But,
Amazing.
and I think the other thing I would have told myself is, and as you said, we've had ups and downs and highs and lows, and we've known each other for many years, and we've discussed those over the years. And I think the other thing I would have told myself is the same thing I tell myself today, funnily enough. Keep believing, keep fighting. Yeah,
Love
do
it.
you.
Hope.
All right. Stay true to yourself and your identity and stand strong for who you are and what you represent. And it's I think that to my 10 to my 16-year-old self, I think those are important values because I didn't have it easy when I started out. I had many challenges that got in my way, but I continued to fight. And I don't regret anything that I've done over the years. So I think I would have told my 16-year-old self, it's going to be hard. You're going to have some bad days, some bad years. All right, but keep fighting. Don't give up because no one can do what I can do. And I've proven that many times over the years, but it's been a fight to get there. So I think I would just say get to the US earlier and keep fighting because I think it's hard, especially for the younger generation as well, to find purpose and to find direction.
And I love that you said that, Adam, because I gotta tell you, people will say America's going down. It's no longer it's a multipolar world, but America's not part of this. Bullocks, I'm sorry to say. America is going to be even more, the Britishization, America is going to be even more powerful than ever before. And America is going to be an opportunity, a land for prosperity again. It's going to be a little bit more challenging because of the fact that things weren't as easy it's not going to be as easy to build wealth as, the generation we were growing up in. But with the right tools and the right way to work around what's coming and using it to your advantage, America is going to be the place to be. And honestly, the UAE too. So I'm glad you said that.
Right. And America remains the land of opportunity as well. And
100%.
many people say, hey, I'm waiting for an opportunity. I'm waiting for an opportunity. I'm waiting for an opportunity. The
That is
opportunities are all around you all the time. You need to see them. And that's the problem for most people. They're waiting for someone to tell them about the opportunity. They're waiting for
right.
someone to say, hey, you can open up a Subway sandwich store and you can make X amount of money. But they're waiting and they need guidance. Look for opportunities. They are everywhere. You just need to see them, understand them, and figure out how to use that to monopolize it and to make money from it. But opportunities are everywhere all the time, and it doesn't matter what they do to take freedom and knowledge and availability away from us. Those opportunities will always be there. You just have to look for them, and when they present themselves, you have to act upon it. Because if you don't, somebody else will.
That's right. I agree with you. Monopolize bug protein. No, I'm kidding. We don't want that. Bill Gates has done that already. Look at it's awesome.
Well, I want to thank you, Adele, for joining us. Everyone, that was Adelle Nazarian, a good friend of mine for many, many, many years. Thank you for watching another episode of Adam Cohen Today. I am your host, Adam Cohen. This was a great conversation. Thank you very much, and we'll do this again.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Adam. Great to be on with you.